Every framework needs a silly name, so I'm going to call this one AD. A-I-D, that's the key part here. And I like threes. Threes are easy to remember, so A-I-D. Ask, information, and do. So any optimization should start with some form of question. We need to ask questions of our data. If you just log in to something like Google Ads or Google Analytics and you just see this massive data in front of you, it is very, very easy to get lost in that data, to spend hours poking around inside that data, hoping for some insight. Instead, if we start with a question and go examine that data with the question in mind, we're going to find the answer to that question much, much sooner. We're not going to waste time. We can be in and out and move on to more important things. It's a great way to stay focused. So it's going to start by asking questions. And I'll give you some examples in the next video of questions that you might want to ask of your data when it comes to your first Google search campaign. The I then stands for information, because we could go look at data, but data isn't particularly useful. Instead, what we want to do is turn that data into useful information. Now, typically, that's going to take the form of some sort of picture or graph or chart. We're going to take that data and transform it. That could be as simple as just finding the right chart inside our Google Ads account. We might use some third-party tool. If you want to get a bit more advanced, you could use Google Sheets or Data Studio, which is a free Google tool that allows you to better visualize what's happening inside your account. But frankly, when you're starting out, you don't need any of that. If you just look across the top of your Google Ads account, you've got all the data at the bottom and you've got a chart at the top. Just by choosing the right things to put on that chart can get you most of the way there. And then you can visually see the patterns in the data. You might see that your CPA, your cost per action, is much higher on the weekends and then lower during the week. And you see that consistent pattern over time. And then you would know, okay, I need to reduce my bid on the weekend, or maybe I'm fine paying that. I'm actually getting them really cheap during the week, in which case I'm going to increase my bid during the week because I want more conversions and I'm willing to spend more money on them. The point is you're going to visually see patterns in the data which will inform your decision making so that then you can do the last part, which is do. Because there's no point asking a question, having the insight, looking at all of that information if we then don't go do something about that. So we have to take action. We have to go execute. We have to go do something inside our account. And I'm going to make that very, very simple for you. You're either going to increase or decrease a bid, or you're going to add or remove something. You're either going to add or remove or change. So let's just say add or remove or change. You might change ad copy. You might add a new one. You might remove an ad. You might add a new keyword, or you might remove a keyword. You might increase a bid or decrease the bid for a keyword or an ad group. You might choose to add a new campaign or add a new ad group. You might choose to change some campaign settings, but it's pretty much going to come down to something new, removing something, taking something away, deleting it. We would normally call that deleting, but Google's weird. They call it removing. Or you're going to just make a change to something. Now, one thing to bear in mind here is when you make a change in Google, it doesn't permanently change what you had there before. What it's going to do is if I were to change, well, that's changed a bit now. Okay, we'll go with that. You can make a change and things will carry on as normal. It used to work differently. It's all good. Right, where were we? AID. Ask questions or look at information, not data. So look at pictures of some form and then go do something. And then we rinse and repeat that. It really is that simple. That makes it sound much, much simpler than it is, of course. But let's think about some of the questions then that we need to ask about our data and what some of the information we might look at and the actions we would take. And we'll do that in the next video.